Hi and welcome back to the Curves Workbench mini-series. This is part 4, video 2 of 2, and we're looking at practical examples of using the Create a Supporting Plane for sketches. In this video we go through 2 examples and how to build them as well. So our first example is creating a pipe that ducts outside of a hull through a cavity and creating a number of planes in there to support that loft going through, and changing the angle of the loft by using those planes in there. Our second example is creating a simple boat hull or fuselage and using profiles on planes and creating a surface across those. We'll also use a number of rails in there, and we'll be using the split curves to space these profiles evenly. So again, if you haven't looked at the previous video, please go and have a look. It goes through some essential training there of how to use these tools. So I hope you're enjoying this series, and we'll get on to looking at these examples right now. If you like this video, please hit a like and also subscribe to the channel. I also have a Ko-Fi site where you can actually donate to my contributions to the community, and that's at ko-fi.com/MANG0. So one example for the profile support plane is this here. So we've got a loft going through a channel and it comes out the side of this hole here. Now this could be ducting, wires, etc. And how this is built is that there's a number of profiles. Just make those visible. These here. And they support a number of sketches which have been lofted through. So if I bring the sketches through, there we go. So those sketches are sitting there all around that loft. If I hide the loft, you can just see the sketches and the profiles. You can see that the profiles are sitting there. All these, each of them have got a sketch on. And when we get to a section like this, these are angled across this section. I personally would put more in here, but this is just for demonstration purposes. And then when we come to this hole here, there is a structure inside there to support the sketches. So if I go into view, drawing style, wireframe, you'll be able to see that structure. So there's all our sketches and our planes, and in here there's a structure here, a line, and another half circle here. And these are split curves that have been added in, and a horizontal line. So that's using this tool here, the parametric line, and that connects up 2 vertices together. So you can actually use those vertices. So you can see that if I just show these 2 profiles here, and come up and hide the rest, we can see those profiles are sitting there. And if I hide the body and show that supporting line, which is the 2 split curves and the line, you can see how those have been supported by that line going across on that profile, and this here is supported by the body. That line there on that body, just that one there. What we'll do is we'll recreate some of this so I can actually demonstrate how easy it is to get these profiles in and follow this channel. So I've just reverted the project back to the body, and got rid of all the profiles in there. And I'm going to show you how to actually create these profiles in here and actually deal with this hole here. So we want a containing element that goes along here and is routed out this hole and ducted out the front. So for this, I'm just going to add some profiles in here. And I'm not going to add many because it's the same process for all of them, but our main focus is dealing with this hole as well. So to add the profiles, click on top. So we're adding the profiles from the same projection of the camera each time. I'm going to just swap to wireframe. So view, drawing style, wireframe. Makes life a lot easier. And I'm working from left to right, so I'll be working this way. So left to right, bottom to top. So I'm going to start here and just click, control click the other side, right there, and add the profile. And I'm just going to add the profiles through this curve as well. Now because I'm on the right projection, I'm looking top down, those profiles will conform to that void there. So you can see them sitting in that void. If I try to do them here, so click and control click, then you'll see that the profile, when added, is added at an odd angle. Click, control click there, and add the profile in. And you can see what angle they've been added at, which is not the angle that we want. I'm just going to delete those profiles and click top again. And now if I click and control click, add the profile, you can see they're going in at the right angles now. And we're going to add one here. I can straighten these up if I so desire. Now it comes to adding the profile to route around this shape here. So what I want to do is actually create a supporting plane that attaches to something along here. And this is where the split curves, join curves, and the parametric line come in handy. If I take this circle here and do a split curves on that, then that will be split out. If I hide the body now, you can see it's been split out with two vectors there, and we've got a top and bottom edge. So this is perfect to add a line across. If you have problems with where these vectors are positioned, then you can come into the split curve, alter the values here so we can add more if we so desire, so 50%, and then I want one at 25%. That adds another one in there. And also you can click on the split curves and double click, and that allows you to move these vectors. So for instance, I can move it to there. And you can see it's saying 68.692%. And when I double click again, that will be applied to the values here. So we've got one down here now. So I just want the 50% one because that's fine. Let's come out. Let's show that body. So I'm going to add another split curve along here. So using the split curve, add that one, and you can see that point sitting just there. So I hide the body. You can see we've got a vector there, which is perfect. If this shape was made of two edges, then I would use the join curves first, take that out as one edge, and then use the split curves to split it into two edges. Now I'm going to join up this vertex to this vertex. So come into the body, hide the body by pressing the spacebar, click the vertex. If you have problems seeing that vertex, just come into the split curve and come down to view, and this point size you can increase up so 10, and this one here also point size of 10. That means I can get to those vertices very easily. So I'm going to click one vertex and then control click the other. So I've got those two vertices there, and use the parametric line, and that creates a line across there. Now if I bring the body back, I can use that line to place sketches along. So looking at the model, so I'm going to place a profile. If I click on the rear and just get myself positioned correctly, so that's fine, so I know where I am. And I'm going to come in and place a profile going across here. So we've swapped directions to the rear, and I'm going to come in and add a profile, first of all, along here. Control click that one. Now I can see the other profile there, which is fine. So I'm going to place one in here and about here. Add the profile in there. So now we've got a number of profiles that should route out the wire or the containing element that comes out of here. So let's go back to normal view now. View, draw style as is. Let's have a look what's happened. So we've got our profiles in there, and we've got our profiles sitting here as well, which is fine. Remember, we could sketch over this. This one we could straighten up if we so desire. I'm quite happy with that. So the first profiles I'm going to use are going to be these two. So I'm going to click on one, come over to the sketcher, and I'm going to add a sketch to that. And it's always going to be flat face, as I said before. Section view, so we're section viewing across that, and we can see our profile sitting there, that to sketch on. And I'm going to bring in the bottom edge, and I'm going to use that to position my circle. I'm going to place a circle upon there. And we know that line has been sectioned through the middle of that, so I can use that as a symmetrical constraint against the two. These 2 points here. And this one. Right, symmetry across there. I've got a problem with a constraint, so I can click on it. I can see it's that one there, so I'm just going to hit delete on that to get rid of it. I can put some constraints in here if I so desire. So diameter 7mm. That's constrained in there. This shape can obviously be whatever you want. So what we're going to do is close that, and you can see that's sitting in there. Let's just hide that body. You can see how that's sat on there. We're going to deal with this profile now. If you want to, you can keep the body hidden to make life a bit easier. We're going to do a sketch upon this profile. Flat face, okay, that. Section through that. And I'm going to import this edge here. And if I wanted to, just come over to the model and just going to hit escape. That plane we can just bring down the transparency 80, so we can see through, and then I can sketch upon that. So whatever you want. This may be bigger, maybe smaller, maybe a different shape, totally up to you. And I'm going to put a constraint in here, symmetry constraint. these two, that center, and then close that. So you can see how they're building up and how that line is being used as support. Do the same on this one now. Sketch on that one, flat face, and use our section view, even though we haven't got the bodies showing. That body, so you can see that one there. And I'm going to import the sides. And then I can add whatever shape I want on here. Add the circle again. Shrink the diameter, which I didn't do on the other one. And then use this point, and this center, and do symmetry across those. So that's nice and centered. So you can see how we can get those profiles in there. And how we build up the loft going all the way through. So when I add these to the loft, so in the part, and bring back the body, let's just close this, didn't close this, then just hide that body a second and add a loft, use the utility to loft, and gonna have a look at these. So this is sketch 3, 4, and 5. Let's grab those sketches. 3, 4, 5. Create a solid and OK that, and you can see how that lofts through. So this one is a fuselage or a hull of a ship, and you can see we've got a lot going on with this one, and we've got a number of profiles going all the way through. Got a number of sketches in there, so I've only done half side and actually half the ship this way as well. And we've got some rails in there, and that sweep goes through those rails and those profiles. So we've got multiple profiles for a sweep upon 2 rails. But we can use this with a loft as well. So I'm going to go through the items what I have here and then quickly go through a small hole, how you would do that. And if we look on the left hand side, this is where I've actually used a little trick to position this hole. Each of these profiles along this hole. So we're just going to go down, and we've got sweep 2 rails here, which I'm displaying with display mode as rails there. You can change this to whatever you want. So there's points, that's the usual view. Profiles, rails, or wireframe. So that's there. Just going to hide that so we can see underneath we've got the NURBS surface that covers that. That's the result from that. I haven't finished this off yet. I still need some profiles along here, and also to model a keel that's going to go along here. Got a number of sketches that attach to the profiles, so what I'm going to do is come in and hide the curved surface, so you can now see the profiles and the sketches on them. So each of these is an open sketch that's been placed along those. If you've seen the other videos, you know about the sweep upon 2 rails. And the rails I chose for this was this one down here and this one here. This one that runs all along here. This looks like it's divided up, which it is, but get rid of the split curve. You can see I've got a join curve that lays along those. So on those, these are attached to the split curve, these sketches. That join curve actually makes the rail. And we'll go through that in a minute and the reasons why I've done it that way. So each of these profiles, I'll hide them. See they're there. This is just for support. This is just what the actual profile attached to. And that was a split curve. I actually produced that from a sketch to get that right first. And then I use a split curve in there to get the vectors upon there. And then we've got the other rail, I've already said it before, which is the join. The bottom rail sits there. And then each of those profiles, and those are just B-spline sketches. That's it along here. So what we'll do is create a smaller example of that so we learn actually how to do that process. So we're going to demonstrate the whole of the ship now. And we're going to be using a number of rails, the split curves and the planes. So first things first, we come into the sketcher. And I'm going to use the sketcher along the XY plane. And we're going to do half the hull and just the front part as well. So I'm going to use the curve. So I'm using the curve here. So I'm using the end points and rim point. Connect to the center. Auto constraints are on. Constrain it in there. Come out wherever I want to place it and just place a nice curve there. That'll do me. So that's one side. The other side is just going to be a straight line. So from here to somewhere here. And I'm going to place these 2 points, those 2 there, in horizontal constraint with each other. There we go. So if I moved one, the other one will move. So that's that sketch there. So we come down to the view, and we're looking for line color. I'm just going to color that one red so we know whereabouts we are in 3D space. So okay, so that's red now. Now I'm going to do the bottom part of the boat down here. Do that with new sketch. And we want, let's cancel that a minute. Let's have a look where we want. So we want to come in on the right side. So this is looking, if I look at the handler down here, that's ZY or YZ. So new sketch along the YZ plane. Okay. Let's just have a look, we'll see where we are. That's good. And I'm going to bring in one of these lines. So I'm going to bring in this line here. So if we can get to it, there it is. There's that line there. So that allows me to add a rail with the B-spline for the bottom of the boat. So I'm going to click on there and just come down and make a shape. Goes along there. Hit escape again, and I can adjust these. So I want that one and this one in vertical constraint with each other, and I'm going to pull this up and do the same with all the rest. There we go. So that's the shape that I'm looking for. Something like that. So that's the bottom done. So what we've got now is the bottom and the side and a line that sections that in half. Now we can start to add our planes across this, but there's one other thing that I'm going to do. I can come over to the Curves Workbench, and I'm going to use my split curves again. Now the reason why I'm doing this, I want to add planes at an even distance along here. And that's quite hard to do by just clicking and finding the distance away, adding a plane, to space these evenly across this hole. So I'm not going to do that. Let's get rid of those. What I'm going to do is split these rails evenly. So to do that, I'll select one rail, go to the split curve, select one rail, split curve again, and then select the last rail and do the same. So we've got all those rails there. I'm just going to come in and find that sketch and hide that because we don't need that now. And this split curve, these two here, I'm going to control click those so they're both selected and change the line color and select those as red. So we've got the side rail, the middle rail and the bottom of the boat there, the rail for the bottom of the boat. And we now have got two edges. And these two are even distributed. You can see those there. And this one's a bit out, but we can fix that. What I'm going to do is click on the middle rail and I'm going to decide how many profiles I want in here. So I'm going to say for this one, I would add more, but I'm going to add only 3 profiles just for speed. So I'm going to come into data, look at the values, come into here, and I'm going to add something like 33% and 66%. Click OK, and those are added in there. And I'm going to use that, so I'm just going to copy that from those values there. Use that on the other split curve and the bottom one. So they've all got those vertices there and 3 edges. I'm still going to use the sketch in a second. So now we've got those in there, it makes it a lot easier to put profiles across here. So I can click on the top view. So the projection of the camera is straight down. And I'm going to start adding profiles above these vertexes. So this is the tool I'm going to use, create a supporting plane for sketches. I'm going to click one, control, click the other, holding down control and clicking. Add a profile. I don't care where it sits because I'm going to adjust that later. So for instance, I could click here, control click down here, add the profile, and let's click here and here and add the profile. So those are added now. What we can then do is shift click, so we can select them all, click the first one, shift, click the last, come down to parameters, set that to 0. You can see those. If we set this to something like 100, and we can do that for our last parameter as well. So 100 will hit that last profile. So you can see there the parameters have rounded down to 273 and 30. If this was longer than 100, then you'll have to use a higher number. That's a quick way of getting those profiles in there. Let's have a look at the bottom as well. So you can see our vertices that run across the bottom of our rail here are not really in the right place. So I'm just going to move those into position. So I'm going to click right, come in, have a look at these. And we want this split curve here. So this one here, just double click it. And that allows you to move that into position. So we can see, just add a bit of angle. And we can move this like so, and then move the other one to about there. Double click that split curve, and those are in position. So we can start on our next phase. And that's getting the sketches in. I'm going to make these transparent as well. So I'm going to control click one, control click the other, go to view, transparency, and I'm just going to put 80 in there so we can see through those. Now I'm going to sketch upon these planes, and I'm going to add a profile of the ship, cross section of one side of the ship that goes through here. And I'm going to use the same profile on this one, but adjust it for this one. So I'm going to click on the plane, And I need to be in my sketcher actually. Come over to the sketcher, click on the plane, new sketch, flat face. So always flat face on these. Can move this into position, just come in, and because we're right against this vertex here, we don't need to use the section view because we already sectioned across that anyway. Just click front, and I'm going to import this line here, the edge of this sketch, because I know that intersects with this rail. So click on that. You can see that vertex is coming there. I am going to also import the bottom of this here. So this bottom rail here. So I want that point there. So import that point. That gets me something to aim at there. I'm going to use the Create a B-Spline tool, and I'm going to sketch in a profile. So auto constraint to there. And just sketch in a profile. I've gone a bit too far down, so let's just come back up and auto constraint to there. Hit escape again, and we'll just change this to whatever we want. So I'm going to bring this up. If we can get hold of it. There we go. And we'll bring this one out. Put a little bit of a curve on that. So that's our first profile done. I'm going to do the same for this one over here. So I'm going to close that and come in, have a look. So I'm going to create a sketch on this plane now. New sketch, flat face, okay that. Come in, and we want to do a section view. And then use the import of the geometry. Just be wary of what point has come through. So we've got this point here, which we want to use, not this one down here. And import this line here, or actually this edge will be better. So where it intersects. And then we can start sketching upon here. I'm going to use a B-spline. Click on the B-spline. And then sketch down here and auto constraint to these points. Like so. Hit escape again, and move these into position. If these combs are interfering with your viewpoint, then you can come up to sketch a B-spline tools, and we've got some show hide options here. So I'm going to hide those combs, and we're just going to give that a shape like so. Close that. So we've got two in there, and we're going to do the front profile now. Bring in the geometry, so the side and this line here. And then add our profile. So B-spline, click, and add something in here. Making sure we connect those up. Come in, and we should be able to move these. Come outside the profile if we so desire, and we can just move these into position. Let's close that and see what we've got. So we can see the start of our profiles going through. I would use an ending profile over here, something smaller in here to allow us to connect all these up. But for now I'm going to leave that skeleton as is. There's a few other things that I need to do with this, and that is to actually bring back the other sketch, because I need single lines to do ruled surfaces and NURBS surfaces over the top. So we've used the split curves to hold our geometry, hold our profiles across this, but we're going to use the sketch to actually use as the ruled surface and the NURBS surface. So come back into the split, hide that split and show the sketch. Come to this split, hide the split, and if we drill into this split, you can see the sketch here, show that and hide the split. So now we've got a single line to use. If your sketch is made up of multiple edges, then you need to use the Join Curves tool over in the Curves Workbench to convert that to a single edge. I'm going to save this quickly. Now we can start creating the ruled surface across here in the part. So for this one, I'm going to take this top wire here, which if I go up, it's part of that sketch there. Remember we had two items on that sketch, this wire and this wire. And I'm also going to select this bottom sketch here. So we've got these two rails selected, and we're going to make a ruled surface across those. So we're going to use the ruled surface in the part. We can go up to the part, create a ruled surface, and you can see straight away we've got a bit of a problem here. Now to fix this, it's probably due to these surfaces actually touching, to these edges actually touching. So we're going to come into one of those sketches. I'm going to delete that original ruled surface. So have a look at the sketches that have been pulled through. So the sketch, and I'm going to use, it's confusing when you click on it because it's not these two edges, it's just this edge here. So I'm going to use this sketch one here. I'm going to double click it, and I'm just going to move it slightly. So at the moment it's on that point there. I'm just going to move this down a bit and remove that from that point. So let's delete that point. Just move that off that point. So it's not connected to this line here. Close that and see what it's done to our ruled surface. Our ruled surface is now to those two rails. So just removing that from that point there, making a little bit of gap, has fixed that issue. We now can carry on with the Curves Workbench and do the rest of the sweep. So for that, I'm going to come up to the Curves Workbench. And now we're in the Curves Workbench. I'm going to take the ruled surface, this one here, and I'm going to select each of these sketches on these profiles. So 1, 2, 3. So I've got the 3 sketches there selected, and that ruled surface. We'll select the sweep profiles on 2 rails. So that's created a point cloud now, and we can see this. We click on sweep 2 rails, we can see this in different shapes. So if we come down into the display mode here, just increase this so we can see that. At the moment it's points. If we want to change the shape of that to something like profiles, you can see how that's been carved out along there. Or rails. And the last one is wireframe, like so. So you can see how that takes shape there. Also, if we have more profiles going this way, we can go right to the tip. So the next thing to do is take that sweep on 2 rails and actually create a surface out of it. So I'm going to come up to the approximate points to NURBS curve or surface, and that places a surface across there. We could also do this with a loft if you so desire. And if we wanted to create this as a solid, so at the moment it's just a surface, come over to the part, and we can use the tools to offset shape, and we use a 3D offset in there, and you can see we've already got that offset started to come in. So we can also fill the offset there. So let's fill the offset. Hit OK. And there we go. So we've got our surface going along there. So come to the end of the video, but we haven't come to the end of the series just yet. There are a number of tools in there we're still going to explore. And one of them is a decentralize. And using that with the approximate points to NURBS curves and some of these tools in here. And they will be in the next video. So we're looking at creating additional surfaces in there. So additional ways of creating different surfaces and how they can be used. And this one is going to be a lot quicker to create that surface. Quite an interesting tool, and that will be coming up in the next episode. Also look out on Sundays for the Python tutorials that we've got going at the moment, and throughout the week you may see a few other videos drop in for actual modeling and animation in FreeCAD. So I hope you're enjoying the channel, and I'll see you again soon. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to my site, and also I have a Ko-Fi site where you can actually donate a few pence or a few pounds, dollars, or whatever your currency is, and that's at ko-fi.com/mang0, and there you'll be able to help me fund my site, and all the money that I actually get from any funds will actually get pushed back into the channel. Thanks a lot for watching and subscribing. I'll see you next time.